tonight's homework is to finish 8.1 through 8.4. Also, just remember, I posted the review assignment, but it is optional. So if you are caught up on your homework and you want to do a little bit more practice and you don't want to just like be lazy all week, and you can work on the review assignment to see, am I ready for the mastery? Because we will be taking the mastery next week. I haven't decided when. I'll probably push it till Friday. We'll be ready before Friday, but I think I'll probably put it on Friday just because I like Friday masteries. And then hopefully everyone will have their, these are the wrong cards, I just realized, yeah. Hopefully then everybody will have all their homework done if I push it till Friday. So any questions from the homeworks, 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, 8.4, we haven't really finished the lesson, so I don't really want to take questions from there yet.
I have a question about the like revision for the chapter 7.
On the progressing to mastery?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you got the progressing to mastery back and it's still a progressing or something like that, now you make revisions to that.
Okay.
So now you fix those. Yeah, so do it on a separate sheet of paper. Yeah. Good question. Thank you for asking that because I had never clarified. Yeah, if you got your progressing to mastery back, yeah, I did pass out papers in this class yesterday. You just revise that. You know. Any homework questions? I'm going to drag this out of the way, and we will dive in. Yesterday we ended with how many operations things took. We ended with this, right? We kind of made it through the front of the paper. Yeah. So everyone flipped to the back of the paper. Did we do this yet, listing out what operations it will take? So I did not leave, no, we haven't done this. I did not leave a ton of space under these, but what I would like you to do under these is we're going to list what needs to happen to isolate the variable, to get the x by itself. So in this first problem, and this was a prize question the other day, or a candy question we can call it really, I mean all my prizes are candy. So the question is, what do we do on both sides in order to get the x by itself? And to be fair, I'm going to use cards until somebody knows. Ashley, do you know what we do on both sides? And you can pass if you don't know. I'm just using cards. Alpha?
You multiply by 4.5. No, you reciprocal.
Start yourself over. What do we do?
You do the reciprocal of 4.5 on
4
both
fifths.
sides.
That's not 4.5. It's 4 fifths.
4/5 on both sides.
So right under this, and you might want to draw a line to split up 1, 2, and 3. Right under number 1, it only takes one step to solve. And exactly what Alpha just said, we would multiply by the reciprocal.
Are these new notes?
No, it's yesterday's notes. I don't know if you were out of the room when I said that, but we are we're on the back side of yesterday's notes. So then, is Todd here today? Ty, do you know in number 2 what we would do first?
Okay. So, because we're trying to find what x is, we're not going to be doing the parentheses first.
Yeah, because we can't.
So what we're going to be doing is multiplying the whole thing by 5.
Negative 5. So more specifically, the first thing that we would do here, distribute. So you want to write under number 2, like the first thing we do is distribute, and you want to number that a number 1, because then after we distribute, this would turn into negative 15x plus 5, because look, the negative 5 times the negative 1, that would combine to make a positive 5, and that will equal 40. So now, me as an orchestra, Miriam, do you know what we do next? After we distribute, we get to here. What would we then do?
Subtraction?
Yeah, then we would have to subtract to undo that addition. And you can abbreviate as sub if you want, if you'll remember. I'm going to write out the whole thing. And then, Jennifer, after we subtract, I would end up with negative 15x equals 35. What would I do now?
Then you divide by 15.
Divide by what?
15.
Divide by what?
Negative
Negative 15. So then we would divide, but be careful that you pay attention. If it's a negative number, we have to divide by that negative number. So that one would take 3 steps to solve because we have to start by distributing. Now, Sam, in number 3 here, what would we do first? Are there parentheses? No, because the only time that we have to distribute is when we see parentheses. So think back to yesterday and actually the day before even, we had that little process of step 1, step 2, step 3. And above that was simplify, but we don't have to simplify here. So what's the first thing that we undo? You're good, I was shushing them. You can always pass too if you need. Pass, all right, Nick? Yeah, and Nick is being specific. We would add 19 on both sides. We always do it to both sides. Thank you, dude. We are on yesterday's notes, Todd, so if you just get those out, we're on the back. Then the next thing, after we add 19 to both sides, this equation would turn into 3/5 x equals 36. Alex, do you know what I would do with 3/5 x equals 36 to get the x by itself? Now be careful when this is a fraction out in front. Well, yes, but and do what with it? Because when we flip it, that's called the reciprocal. But what do we do with the reciprocal? This is the weird situation. Even though this is multiplication, because it's multiplication with a fraction. Ashley, do you know? Or are you stretching? Oh, not quite. I mean, kind of, but not quite. Sorry. We multiply by the reciprocal to both sides. Guys, you got it. When there's a fraction in front of your variable, you multiply by the reciprocal. So step 2 here is multiply by the reciprocal. So you can abbreviate now and just do mult. Hey, Haley, can you put that away, please? Mult by recip. Questions on this? We're always thinking, how do we undo what has been done?
Excuse the interruption. Could I please have Haley Treadway to the office? Haley?
Always stealing my students. All right, so we have a family of 6. Anyone have a family of 6? You've got 3 brothers and sisters, mom, dad, or something like that?
I have 4 sisters and 3 brothers. We got 2 brothers.
Well, okay, so you've got more than 6. Anyone have exactly 6 in your family? Sweet. So if you guys were going to travel, how many plane tickets would you need to buy? 6. So when this says a family of 6, that's telling you how many tickets they're going to buy.
Wait, when you mean family by 6, you mean including?
Yeah, there's like 6 people total. So that would be important. We want to underline or highlight that. And again, I've got my colored pencils up here if you'd like to borrow some. Travel insurance costs $19 per ticket. So that's happening on every ticket. It doesn't just happen once. I should see everybody underlining, highlighting, doing something to notate that this is important. For a total charge of $1,116. Can anyone identify what it is here that we don't know? Hi? What is it that we are not knowing? Yeah, 5 seconds, Ty.
The cost of the whole airline ticket.
Yeah, the cost of one airline ticket. So it says how much does one ticket cost? That's going to be my variable. So choose a variable right now to represent that. Well, since we're talking about tickets, I don't really like T. So instead, we could use C for cost of a ticket. We don't really like to use T as a variable. It just looks too much like mathematical symbols. So now let's write out what we know. we're going to buy 6 tickets. And insurance for each ticket. I'm just going to abbreviate that INS for insurance, and that will equal my total. And sorry, it's supposed to be like an ampersand, like one of those, but I can't draw it. So I mean, we could just say plus. Now this insurance happens on every ticket. So when we go set that up in an equation, this is just like the bagel baker yesterday when he was adding 5 cents to the price of every bagel. Who can tell me how to write this to show that every ticket is having $19 added to it? And if you need to flip back to the front of your paper and look at our bagel problem. Sorry?
Wouldn't you put the C in the parentheses and then put 6 plus the insurance?
You got to flip 2 of your things around. We're going to buy 6 tickets, but each ticket has the ticket cost and the insurance. So your 6 and your C were flipped around, but we're going to buy 6 tickets, and each ticket has a cost and insurance. So we have to do the ticket cost and the insurance. So everyone should be writing this down. 6 parentheses C plus 19 equals $1,116. Now again, our first step here, we're not solving yet. We first need to, we need to distribute, and that's our simplify step. So to simplify this, I'm going to distribute the 6 to the C, draw the arrows, and the 6 to the 19. This becomes 6C plus 6 times 20, what, 114? And then, now we can start my solution process. So Mr. Eisel, do you know what we do first here?
Subtract the 114.
Where?
On
Yeah.
both sides.
Yeah, so we subtract 114 on both sides. Do not use your calculator. It's 116 minus 114. Come on. What's left over is 2. So we now get 6C equals 1002. I'm running out of space, so I'm going to move this over here. 6C equals 1002. What do I do now, Colin, to finish getting my C by itself?
Divide by 6.
We got to divide by 6. Where?
On both sides.
On both sides. C is equal to, this is actually pretty cheap for a plane ticket. Hey Todd, you getting all this written down?
Yeah.
I believe, and you can verify my math, I think it's 167. Is it? Sweet. So each airline ticket would cost $167, but then there'd be another $19 added to that for insurance. But the price of just the tickets is $167. Todd?
What insurance?
So this right here, it said travel insurance costs $19 per ticket. So that would be, you buy travel insurance, so in case you don't go on your trip, you can get your ticket cost back. So I cannot get this $19 back, but if I cancel and I don't go on the trip, I'll get my ticket price back.
Oh, so you get 167.
So if you're going to Chicago, you have the choice to buy travel insurance or not buy travel insurance. If you buy the insurance, you can cancel your trip. If you don't buy the insurance and you cancel your trip, you do not get your money back.
Do you do that?
I don't pay because I'm a chaperone. I don't even know if I'm going. We don't know what teachers are going yet. But when I travel, I normally buy the insurance because you never know what's going to happen. My grandma's pretty old, so if something were to happen to my grandma, I wouldn't go on a trip. I'd stay close because my grandma lives an hour away. She's like with my parents. But that's why people buy insurance, is you don't know what might happen. If I buy tickets 6 months out, like for a trip 6 months from now, I don't know what might happen that I wouldn't go on the trip. Like I might have to cancel the trip. So I want a little bit of protection for if I have to cancel. So now we're going to mail 20 identical invitations. We're having a party. They're all weighing more than 1 ounce. Now when you mail stuff, you pay for what you're mailing based off of what it weighs. So Mrs. Collin and I actually just sent, we just put applications in. We're taking that class while we were gone Wednesday, and we had to put 2 stamps on it because we knew that it would be too heavy for a single stamp. Now the other thing you can do if you don't want to pay for the stamps is take it to the post office. Has anyone ever been to a post office? Yeah. If your parents ever like mailed anything big?
Yeah.
What do they do at the post office when you take something big in there? They what? Well, yeah, but how, before they'll mail it, you have to pay to mail it, right?
Yeah.
How do they calculate what you owe them? They weigh it, right? So whenever you go to the post office and you like are gonna pay for your postage, they weigh it and they calculate exactly what you have to pay. If you use stamps, you're paying more than what you have to because the stamp says it's good up to this amount of weight, and normally your thing is not that much. Todd?
Don't they probably put it in a machine and it goes through?
Yeah, it'll put like a stamp on it. It'll like print out a little label saying that you paid. Yeah. So we know that we have 20 invitations. That's important. I would highlight that. They all weigh more than 1 ounces, or more than 1 ounce. That's important. I would highlight that. We know that the first ounce is 44 cents, and every ounce after that is 17 cents. So again, the first one costs more than every one after that. Kind of like the boat problem that we had, where the first hour was more expensive than every hour after that. Now, do we know how many extra ounces there are? Do we know the weight of our letters? No. So our variable should be our extra ounces. So let's go ahead and write that somewhere. Extra, and OZ is the abbreviation for ounces. Now I'm not going to use the variable O because it looks too much like a number. So because Z is involved in ounces, I'm just going to use Z for my variable. And because we don't use Z very often, I felt like he needed some love. And we know that the total that I pay for everything is $15.60. So now, this is really hard. Like, I'm not going to tell you that this is easy. This is hard to set up. And the only way to make it easier is think about it verbally before you try to do it mathematically. Don't jump right to trying the numbers. Try it with words first. So I know I'm mailing 20, and that would multiply because it's times the invites. And that equals my total cost. Now my invites have a weight, so they're going to be 1 ounce plus the extra ounces. But this first 1 ounce, do I know what that first ounce costs?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it?
It's 0.44 cents.
So instead of putting 1 ounce, I'm just going to put 0.44. And actually, you could, so if I put, I'll actually leave this here and then I'll work below it. My first ounce costs 0.44. What does every ounce after that cost? This is just dealing with our weight, but then we're going to figure out the cost. So we're thinking about what we know. What do we know? How do we use it? Ashley? 17 cents, and I cannot just put 0.17 because that's going to be 17 cents times however many extra ounces there are. So we know that we can evaluate the weight by saying it's 1 ounce plus the extras. Then we can convert it to cost. The first ounce is 44 cents. Every ounce after that is 17 cents. And I don't know how many extra ounces there are. What did I forget to bring down? What?
The total.
Well, yes. So I can replace that with my numbers that I know.
And 20.
and the 20. Which actually here, this middle step that I have written out, I don't know what all you wrote on your paper, but this is actually the total weight. And now that we replace these values with the cost, now this is my total cost. So really what's important to have on your paper is when we get to this point, we're dealing with our total cost. Is anyone confused how I built that equation? Please tell me if you are. I want to know what questions you have. So what's confusing you?
So then, if you, I'm confused how you got 15.6.
That's just the total that they tell me. The postage for all the invitations costs $15.60. So we know that's my total that I have to pay. I don't know what the total weight is. If I did, I could figure out the Z without dealing with the cost. But I don't know the total weight. I know the total cost. So this is where you look at this expression or this equation in the middle dealt with weight. But we don't know the total weight. And since we don't, I can't solve that equation. I move on to cost because I do know the cost. Does that make sense? Other questions? Okay, I am running out of space. So I am probably actually going to bounce over here. Actually, no, that's not any more space than I had. So I'm just going to rewrite this. 20 times 0.44 for the first ounces plus 0.17 Z for every ounce after that will equal 1560. What do we do now, Todd? What's the first thing that we want to do here? We can't yet because we have the parentheses. The parentheses stop me from doing anything. Yeah, but when we multiply and there's parentheses and I have to do the arrows, what's it called? Starts with a D when we do the arrows to multiply. Distribute. We got to distribute. So draw the arrows from the 20 to the 44. Why did you change? Green is really goofed up. Really goofed up. There we go. So that's going to give me, and I'm just going to write in green to show that it's the result of the multiplication. And I'm going to write out my work. So this is 20 times 0.44 plus 20 times 0.17 Z. And that still equals my 1560, nothing happened on my right side. I'm still simplifying because I haven't solved the multiplication yet. This times 10 would just move the decimal. So times 20, move the decimal one place and double it. We get 880. Same thing here. If I move the decimal, that's times 10. So then double it. What's 17 doubled?
14?
I agree with the 4. 34. So instead of 34, though, it's 3.4 Z. 3.40 because it's money, then times the Z. And that just equals my 1560. So now, Todd, I'm going to come back to you. Now that I've simplified, what do I want to do? And what do I subtract by? This is where it's tricky.
Would you subtract that 8.80?
Yes, because you can only subtract the constant values. Some of you will say, oh, the addition is here, I'm going to subtract the 340. You can't because that is multiplying. What's being added is the 880. So you want to take away 880 from both sides. Good job, Todd. I was worried when you weren't here. They said that you were here and then you weren't. No, you're good. Yeah, you're good. I knew you wouldn't try to skip my class. Of all the classes here, you know, mine's the best, obviously. All right, I'm going to draw a little line because I'm running out of space. Now I have 3.40Z equal, did anyone do this subtraction for me? 1560 minus 880? What'd you get? 6, not just 0.2, 0.20 because it's money. Got to go 2 decimal places because it's money. Get in the habit of doing that now. And now, what do we have to do, Lainey? Last thing to get my z by itself. We already did that. So that's one of the first things that we do. So right here, what's happening to the z? What is the 3 point? How are these attached, really? When two things are right against each other, what operation is that? You can phone a friend if you want. Or you can pass, but I think Ashton knows. Yeah, so these are multiplied, so we have to divide. So we divide by 3.40. Divide by 3.40. That then gives me that z, my extra ounces. Anyone got it for me yet? It's going to be over 1, but less than 2. 1.82. Now, that's my extra ounces. So what does that mean each invitation weighs? If that's my extra ounces, remember the boat problem. The first hour was already included. This was my first ounce. So what we find out now is that each invite weighs 2.82 because this is the extra ounces on top of the first ounce. Does this make sense? Was that a no?
No.
Okay. Because the variable represented extra ounces. Now, this is when it's tricky. Are we looking for just the variable value? Are we looking for something else? This asked me the weight of each invite. So I don't want just the extra ounces. I want the extra ounces and the first ounce to be included. Any questions about this?
No, but can I go to Drake?
Go fast because we're taking our mini mastery next.
Oh, mini master. I forgot about that.
It's self-graded. It's not going... Huh?
Is this gonna be on the test?
I only do one distribution problem, and so the mini mastery is all it's just solving. There's no like word problems. You don't have to set anything up. So go ahead and get out that blank sheet of paper because it continues on. Yeah, some things we don't need to do that. Put your name on the top just because you should be in that habit. Here is your mini mastery. 5 questions. You have the variables A, B, C, D, E. We will take probably about 5 minutes for you guys to work on this, and then we'll have about 9 minutes to go over it together. So do your best work. They start easy and get a little bit more challenging. You may use the calculator with your work.
Those are the answers. Those are the answers.
These are the problems that you're solving. You're like in number 1, you got to solve for the value of A. In number 2, you got to solve for the value of B. In number 3, you got to solve for the value of C. So I guess I could say solve each equation or something like that. I don't think it's bad today. Like the screen says, keep calm and show your work. If you're getting stuck, raise a hand and I will help you. It's just a mini mastery. It's just a check-in. It's to see how are you doing. Let you know what you need to do. So what's happening to your beat? what is it? It's being divided. So since it's being divided, we would want to. Oh, the parentheses? So you're just guessing. So thing. Oh yeah, you guys, no. I was gonna say you can use your notes, but no, let's see what you can do with just your head. So B, if I were to read this, it's B divided by 7. We're always thinking inverse operations. How do we undo what has been done? So since it's being divided, let's yes, and we just multiply by what it was divided by. Please stick up a hand if you're having issues. And guys, if you're sitting here struggling, or you're like not sure how to do these, that should tell you that you need to do some work over the weekend. You got to get yourself caught up so that these are comfortable, because at this point, if you've been doing the practice work, you should know how to approach these problems.
You got an eraser?
I do. Would you like to borrow a set eraser?
Yes.
Catch. That was a much better toss than when I threw it to you.
Yeah.
That kind of scared me for a second.
Oh, the running, you like heard liquid?
Yeah.
I should just put it all back in my mug. I only drink hot coffee for like an hour, and then I ice it down.
That's what I do.
Makes it last longer too, because the ice melts. Try this for about 2 to 3 more minutes. Stick up a hand, that's what I'm here for. You're back here, I can work with you real easy since you're standing. Alright, so what's happening to the beat? Answer what I'm asking you. Forget about the whole equals, just what is happening to the beat. If you were to read this, you'd say B
Over 7.
Well, what does over mean mathematically? We only distribute when there's parentheses. There's no parentheses. What if you had 1 over 2? What is that really? Or 2 over 3? What operation?
A fraction.
Yeah, what do fractions are? Are they adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing?
They subtract. Well,
This divides. This bar, when something's over something, it's a division product. So when we read this, it's really read B divided by 7. So since B is being divided by 7, we want to undo that with the opposite of division. Opposite of division. Subtraction is the opposite of addition.
division is opposite multiplying, yeah.
So we would multiply on both sides by that 7. Just like here, this was multiplication. You should have divided. Yeah, practice that. This is going to be hard.
I look at my notes and
Yeah, you gotta practice. Looking at your notes only does so much. You gotta try it on. So make sure you write down everything you do. I'm getting you a colored pencil. When I write in a different color, change colors.
just take it. Alright.
Here's a few, just make sure they get put back.
Alright.
Yeah. I'm going to start going over them together so we can get through all of them. All right. Even if you're not done, we're going to start going over all these so that you can see how you're doing. So number one, we have 14a equals 238. So, Haley, when we look at the A, what's being done to the A?
It needs to be.
No, what's being done to it? Answer that first, then tell me what we need to do. So yeah, right now, A is being multiplied by 14. If this is confusing for you, show the multiplication dot. I didn't show it because we don't have to, but this is multiplication. So Haley, what do we want to do?
Divide.
We want to divide. If you have this wrong on your paper, do it correctly on your paper. When we do that division, A comes out to equal 17. So number one, A should be 17. Not if you do the division correctly. 238 divided by 14 should be 17. On the second one,
Oh, can you put that on the TV?
I can't, how I'm, here I'll do this. Let's slide this up, and then I just need to have some kind of blank area. It's annoying. All right. Our next one for number 2 is B divided by 7 equals 6. And if that's hard for you to think of, whenever something's over top of something else, it's division. So, Mr. Besaw, what would we do here?
Multiply by.
Multiply by what?
Reciprocal.
Okay, so that can be right, but I'm going to show both ways. B divided by 7, we could also talk about as 1/7 B equals 6. Then we would multiply by the reciprocal, which is 7 over 1. Do the same over here. Or over here, since we just see division by 7, we could also just easily multiply by 7. So you're right, but we didn't really have a fraction in front, so we didn't have to multiply by the reciprocal, but it's the same thing. Like what you said is the exact same thing as what we want to do. So these guys cancel out, and B, well, that doesn't need to be red, it should be blue. B is 42. Questions on that one? Alex? Number 3, sorry, this one's coming at you, is 3C minus 4 equals 20. Sorry, what do we do first?
You subtract. You add 4.
We add because we see the subtraction, so we undo subtraction by adding 4. That then gives me 3C equal to 24.
And you divide 3.
Then we divide by 3. Make sure you have that by in there. We divide by 3 on both sides. What'd you get? C equals 8. Questions on this one? We're good? Now 4 and 5 got a bit more challenging. 4, same relative process that we just went through, but now it's D divided by 3 plus 19 equals 23. So, we made it through all our cards. We just talked.
Wait. On the
Yeah.
last one. Wait. No, you're right. Okay.
I hope I'm right.
Yeah.
Mr. Eisel, what would we do here first?
Subtract
We subtract the 19 to undo the addition. That then becomes d divided by 3 equals 4. And Braden, what would we do now? From here, what do we do? What's happening to d? I just said it. We have d blank 3. So it's being divided, so we want to multiply. We're going to inverse operation and multiply. Like Ben had said, you can think of this as multiplying by the reciprocal because it's really 3 over 1. And this d over 3 is really 1/3 d. But it all depends on how you look at it. You can either have it d divided by 3 or 1/3 of d. So we do the same thing on the right side, and we end up with d equaling 12. What are you confused on? So we subtracted 19 on both sides. That subtraction of 19 gave me 4. Because 23 minus 19 is 4, so then my right side is 4. I didn't really keep my equals lined up. Really, this should be more over here.
Okay, so you just took the bottom 3 and then just multiplied by 4, right?
Because we saw division by 3 right here, that's what told me to multiply by 3. Because we asked what happened to d. Well, d was divided by 3. How do we undo it? We multiply. And our last one here, I've got all of the pens picked up. Dealing with yesterday's lesson, 9 times the quantity e plus 6 equals 81. Now there's actually 2 different ways that you can solve this. And I haven't shown you guys the other way yet, but I'm going to introduce it to you. Instead of distributing, which is what we are going to do first, you could, if you wanted, what operation is happening between 9 and the parentheses? Multiplication. So instead, I could, and I'm going to do like a second option. If I had 9 times e plus 6 equal to 81, and you guys can write down both of these if you want. I'm going to show you the option that we've been doing. Then I'm going to show you the alternate option for solving these. And we only have about a minute left, so I'm just going to run right through it. First thing we would do here is distribute. That would give me 9e plus 9 times 6. 54. I'm glad that Alpha's awake. Equals 81. I would subtract 54 from both sides. I get that 9e is equal to... yeah, sorry, I didn't write down that step on my paper. 27. Then, because I see multiplication between the 9 and the e, I divide by 9. And I get that e is equal to 3. Now, here's the other option that some people think is a lot easier. Instead of distributing, say, well, that's multiplication. I could not do that. I could undo it. Hey, don't pack up yet. I need your attention up here. This class lasts a couple minutes longer than it does on normal days. So I could divide by 9 first, and watch what happens. When I get rid of that 9 in front, I just have e plus 6 equals 9. And now all I have to do is subtract 6 from both sides, and I get that e is 3. I really do think that this right side is an easier way to solve it. Nope, it's yours. So if you did not do well on this, you definitely know what you need to do over the weekend. You got to get caught up. You got to get yourself in a good place. Question?
Can you go back to the questions, like the minimum mastery questions?
Yeah, let me capture this and then I'll pull that back up.
Because I think you got something wrong.
Thank you, Alex. Good toss, man. So you want back here?
Yeah.
Give me a second.